Hey guys, how y'all doing? This is not as pleasant as it looks, but I figure I need to do a little video. I've had a lot of people ask me over the last few weeks how often they should stretch, what they should stretch, if they should stretch every day, the best and the worst stretches. Just a second, I gotta sink a little deeper in this one here. Now, that's actually a complicated question. What I'm doing is stretching out my hamstrings right now because I have very specific tension and tightness in my hamstrings. Let's see if we can loop this camera down here. Oh, there we go. So what I'm trying to do is minimize the negative impact of a specific kind of tension. The whole better handhold here. This is kind of the setup that we got going. Now, what is the best time to stretch? Best time is probably after your workout. If you stretch before your workout, you should actually do what we call anti-inhibition stretches, or stretching those muscles, which would keep you from being able to do whatever exercise, whatever movement pattern that you're going to be doing. Post-workout, it's really good to stretch muscles that you just worked that typically get very sore. Alright, now I'm going to change positions and we're going to talk about the frequency of your stretches. Alright, we got switched over here. We're doing some glute and piriformis stretching here. Now, how often should you stretch? That's going to depend on your goals. If you're looking purely for a flexibility and mobility enhancement, and again, those are two different things. As talked about in my article the other day, a little bit deeper here. How often should you stretch? That is really predicated on your goals as far as your flexibility, mobility, and what your movement inhibitions are. Now you'll see I am pretty deep into this stretch here, and get under the bench if we can. I'm actually braced out and trying to get myself, my left shoulder at least, as close to my right knee as possible with minimal thoracic flexing. Now that's to make sure I keep correct movement patterns and also to keep the stress on the right muscle. But again, on frequency, you should stretch probably 3 to 4 days a week. Preferably, your flexibility movement should actually happen after you lift weights or after you've done whatever type of mobility work that you're going to do, like your foam rolling, if that's something that you do. And honestly, with foam rolling, we'll talk about that in a different video. But as far as your stretching here, 3 to 4 days per week post-workout. More frequently if you have specific injuries that you're trying to come across, or get around, but don't stretch the actual injury. For example, with pulled muscles, I have a lot of people tell me that I pulled a hamstring 3 or 4 weeks ago and I've been stretching it, but it keeps getting worse. Well, when you pull a muscle, typically that means that you have stretched it beyond its elastic limit, and it's injured because of that. So don't actually stretch it. When you have a pulled muscle, your best bet is number one, to rest it, ice it, talk to your doctor about it, and then after that, work more on movements that are going to minimize how often it's flexed and stretched beyond its natural limit. For the first few days, in fact, flexing it is probably not the best thing, but you don't want to allow it to stiffen, so you're going to work on movement patterns which keep it in a relatively neutral position. Going back to that hamstring example, and I got about another 15 seconds in the stretch, and then we'll switch out. If you've strained your hamstring, you've pulled it, then working on things where you have a semi-bent knee, just like one click off of straight, standard walking, going upstairs, that's probably going to be your best bet as far as keeping it from getting stiff while still allowing it to heal. Alright, now I'm going to switch positions, see if I can hit this button in one shot. Okay, we got a latch stretch going on here. I'm actually using a band with my hand. Even though that's my mutant arm there, no ulnar radial joint, I do have my palm facing up, so we got that biceps tendon a little bit further away, or the belly of the biceps away from my shoulder, so that allows me to keep proper shoulder structure while still allowing my triceps and most importantly, my lats here. Again, I should really wear one of those cut-off t-shirts so I can flex up in these videos, but no. I'm pale like fish belly. It's not cool to have on YouTube. But how often we talked about so far when you should stretch, when you should not. But a big question I get a lot is, especially because of articles I've seen pretty frequently in like T Nation, bodybuilding.com, your big fitness websites. Let's come out of this one here. Should I stretch at all? Now that's actually a maybe question. I've met people who have amazing flexibility, which is the quality of the muscle being able to move through a particular range under stress, not under stress, meaning that you guide the muscle yourself. Like when I was doing a hamstring stretch, or here, when I'm doing this little latch stretch. Mobility is how far you can move a joint segment, a body segment. It's how far you can move something voluntarily. For example, if you put your hand to your shoulder, anything like that, anything where you're not pushing a muscle through an artificial range like this, but when you're actually just doing a movement. I've met people that have insane, amazing flexibility and mobility who have never stretched a day in their lives. Weight training, resistance training, whatever type of material you're using to cause that resistance, that can and will enhance your flexibility. Now, if you're in specific things like ballet, is probably the biggest one, martial arts to a lesser extent, then stretching and mobility work is super important. Usually. Again, there are some people who can get away without using it. And in fact, there are a lot of people who will benefit from not doing it. So the best answer is it depends. Experiment. Do your mobility work. Do positioning work. Dance and martial arts actually have the advantage of having specific non-weighted positions that we have to move through so that we can stress the body in ways that are going to be very similar to the movement patterns we have to use in the application or the full performance of our skill sets. Experiment is the biggest thing. So guys, I'm going to drink up turn away the sticker on there. I'm going to drink up some big tea and protein mix. I'm going to get mixed up, I'm always mixed up, guys. Not enough pre-workout. I'm going to get started on my workout. I'll talk to y'all shortly.